Welcome to the Kubit Dashboard Builders training video. My name's Grace and I'll be helping you out today with all of the key workflows for building a dashboard. To start with any new dashboard, you can click the New Dashboard at the top of the sidebar. This will pop out an untitled dashboard for you in your My Dashboard sections. From here, I'll just rename it so it's easier to keep track of. Once you're here, you can see that you can add content. There are several types of content you can add from this Add Content button. The first is going to be existing reports. This directly opens the universal search for you so that you can add any report that anybody's made. As you can see, there's not only my reports, but some from others as well. You can filter these by last updated, by schema, report type, as well as the creator. I'm going to pick one of these from Rachel to add to my dashboard. Going forward, you can now add content with this little plus buttons that exist in the margins, as well as the Add Content button. You'll notice Add Content is unique because it has this option to create new. When I click on this and I create a new report and execute it, once this is run, I can add it to my dashboard directly. What I mean by this is when I click the Add To button and I click Dashboard, my dashboard automatically populates right here. So all I need to do is click Save and Go. This is slightly different from the regular reporting workflow where if I create a new report and I run it, when I try to add it to my dashboard, it won't have any dashboard pre-populated. So let's see what that looks like. When I go here, we can see that this is blank rather than having a specific name. What I can do is I can add it to a new dashboard, add it to a dashboard from my favorites, from my dashboards, or from the published dashboards. As you can see, there's a lot of published dashboards and some of them are grayed out. That's because I don't have access to add to those dashboards. We'll talk about that a little bit later. For now, I'll just add this to my analytics dashboard. Now I'm looking at my dashboard and I kind of want to clean it up a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll use drag and drop to pull my reports into a one column to make it a little easier to look at. I'll also use these down here to deselect some of my options so that this report is a little bit easier to see as well. To save those changes, I'll use the three-dot menu and click Save Changes. Now back to adding content. There's three other things we can add on a dashboard. That's going to be media, images, and text. With media, you can add YouTube and Loom links. With images, you can add any image from your computer. This will open your file picker when you click it. And lastly, with text, this is the most flexible option. So as you can see, a new text box has been popped out. And when I type text in here, I can highlight it and it'll give me all my various options for formatting my text. So I can, just like normal, bold, italicize, underline, highlight, change the font size, change the alignment. I can add bullet points and numbered lists, as well as add headers. And so, as you can see, I'm just clicking and adding some options and it automatically does that for me. One of the really great things about text in particular is the ability to add links. So this can be a link to anything. It can be a link to a Confluence page. Perhaps it allows your users to understand the data model a little better. It can be links to things that can help them understand why you're looking at a chart or what your business goals are. And so whatever you end up using it for, text in particular is really great for adding context to your dashboard that can make it approachable for those newer users. Even for someone who has very little experience or is new to looking at these particular dashboards, with text you can add the necessary context to get them where they need to be to understand what they're looking at. So this is all well and good. I like my dashboard. I'm looking at it and it's pretty well put together. I might decide that I'm going to go ahead and publish it. So real quick, what does it mean to publish a dashboard? Well, all dashboards are available to all users via both the universal search and links, regardless of whether or not a dashboard is published. So right now, if I were to send out a link to anybody, they would be able to come open Kubit and see it directly in Kubit. They would also be able to search for it within Universal Search. However, to make things a little easier for people, you can publish dashboards, and that'll move it from your My Dashboard section into the Publish Dashboard section so everyone can see what is in this section. So if I were to publish, I would go and click Publish To, and it'll open this directory, and I can select where I'd want to publish this dashboard to. So for me, I'm going to drop it under the QA folder. When I click Publish here, you'll see that it brought me directly to this directory. It's no longer in My Dashboards, and it's now in the Publish Dashboard section. So you'll notice that it's under two folders. It's under the Dashboards folder first, and then back under the QA folder. If I were to try and add a third folder here, you wouldn't be allowed to, and that's because Kubit only allows you to have two nested folders. First being Dashboards, the second again being QA. If I were to go out a level, I could add a new folder here if I so chose. So aside from publishing, there is another layer of user access that's important. I mentioned it before when we were looking at reports, and that is going to be user access. And so what this does is that there are 4 levels of user access that can be provided to other people. The owner is always going to be the owner of a dashboard. So in this case, I'm the owner of my dashboard because I built it. But there's also going to be the other options of being a manager, an editor, or a viewer. As you can see, the public is always a viewer by default. But if I wanted to give someone else access, like Jeremy here, as a manager or an editor, I could. And so you may be wondering, what's the point of this? Well, an owner has all permissions when it comes to a dashboard, but you might not be the only one who needs to update it, for example. And so if you want to give out other permissions to other users so that they can help you with the managing of your dashboard, then this is the way to do it. So for example, an owner can delete their dashboard, they can provision out access to other users, they can add reports, remove reports, save changes to reports, rearrange the dashboard, add filters, etc. So they have access to everything. A manager, however, can do all of that except for delete the original dashboard. So you'll notice that if I come back under QA and in Analytics, I can delete, but a manager would not be able to. So I didn't save Jeremy's access there, so I'll go back and do this again. In the instance of an editor, however, an editor can only edit the dashboard. So a manager can still add user access, but an editor does not have access to do that. So it's another step lower underneath a manager. Lastly, we have viewers. So a viewer is only able to view the dashboard. They cannot edit things like editors can. They cannot rearrange the dashboard or save changes to the visualizations. They can only look at the dashboard and add their own unique filters. One thing that is a benefit to understanding about sharing user access is that when you add a specific user and give them a specific access, it'll show up under their Shared With Me section over here. So if somebody is being assigned as a manager, let's say, to your dashboard, they'll be able to find it very quickly under their Shared With Me section as well. So I'll go ahead and save that. One thing I just mentioned was filters. And while filters are technically available to everyone, there is a feature of filters that is only available to editors, managers, and owners. And that is templated filters. So anybody can come into a dashboard and they can add a dashboard filter. Let's say somebody wanted specifically to see just iOS on the dashboard, just people who are using iOS. So I can do that, and I can come in and I can hit execute, and it'll automatically update all these reports to reflect just where app is equal to iOS. So for this first report that's already finished, you'll see that the global filter of app equals iOS is added to it. And just to show for this one as well, you'll see that it's here too. But sometimes viewers come in and they don't understand what filters they need to use. They might have a hard time knowing what's applicable and what's not. And so that's where templated filters can be very useful. So what makes a templated filter is really just picking your filter that you want to look at, hitting equals, and or any operator if you're choosing really, and leaving any as it is. What this does is you're not selecting a specific value from the list. You're just saying, I want someone to come in later and pick it for themselves. So when I hit confirm, I can go ahead and add another dashboard filter. Let's say I'm adding country, and I can leave it again as any. What this does is it lets me set these filters to the dashboard. And now when any viewer comes in, this is immediately what they'll see. So because these are pre-populated, they'll know that they just have to come in and click on this any and select a specific value. They don't even need to select a value for all of them. They can purely just select one or the other or both. You can also set more filters than I have available here. But when we go and we look again at the filters that have been applied to this, you can see that app was set to iOS and country is still set to any. Again, just to show that it's possible to do either or both, I'll run this again with both of them. When the first is done running, you'll see that they both now contain specific values. So app is equal to iOS and country is equal to US. Again, although viewers can come in and set these for themselves, sometimes they might have a hard time with that. So having templated filters is a good way to get around those kinds of issues. Just to give an example of what it'll look like, I've clicked out and I've clicked back, and now you'll see that it's reset itself to any, fresh and ready to use for a viewer when they come in. Your filters and what you see are not going to affect what other people see, as this is the default version for the dashboard now. This has been a general overview of everything related to dashboards. Of course, if there's any questions, please reach out and let us know.